let's talk about the dark side of OnlyFans as an OnlyFans creator myself. I recently saw a video titled "Let's Have an Honest Conversation About OnlyFans" by Patricia Stina. And I will say I loved this video. Even as an OnlyFans creator, I thought this video was very insightful and came from an honest place. And while I loved this video, I do have a problem with how some of these things came across as fact when really they were very opinionated. As I've mentioned in a lot of my videos, I am teaching my best advice, but I 1000% don't think this industry is for everybody. And I think that we need to take a realistic look at the dark side of what OnlyFans can be and either decide if that's still something you want to do or if it's not for you. I think this style of video that Patience created was intended to steer creators, mostly girls, away from sex work and away from OnlyFans, which I think is fine because, like I said, it's not for everybody. I would say it's not for the majority of people. But I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on each kind of bullet point that she went through. Like this video title shares, we are going through the dark side, from verbal harassment to straight up stalkers, from effects that it takes on your relationships and your reality to lifelong traumas that it may cause. Let's jump into the dark side of OnlyFans. I am happily an OnlyFans creator. If you aren't able to face the dark realities of your career, then you shouldn't be in that. Data does show that typical sex work does take years off of your life compared to someone in a traditional 9-to-5 work career. But it's not to say that this type of sex work will have that sort of impact. And it's hard to tell right now because we don't have long enough statistics to really determine how it affects your life. This is sort of a new subcategory of sex work. Anything really online just hasn't been around long enough to know the full effects. This includes OnlyFans, camming, and other sort of sites like that. Patience Tina goes into a little rant at the beginning of her video, explaining that when she offers this criticism, it isn't coming from a place to shame anybody that's doing OnlyFans or who wants to do OnlyFans. She compares it to people who wear flip-flops and how she dislikes flip-flops, but that doesn't mean she dislikes the human wearing the flip-flops. And I thought it was a funny comparison, but I also like that she opened the video with this because I respect anybody who wants to have a conversation about this and who isn't intending to put somebody down or shame somebody for doing something that they wouldn't do. This could be a very damaging career to, I would say, most people. If you aren't cut out for this type of work, which isn't a bad thing, you shouldn't do it if you aren't. I think it can be really, really damaging. And when I think back to my time doing like sugar baby type of work, I really had a hard time with the shame that came from it and the things that crossed my boundaries when I was involved in that. That world just wasn't for me. And so that's why I respect those that do not want to do this career. And that's why I'm sharing that this isn't for everybody. That's why I'm sharing the dark side. That's why I love this video, because if I would have known that the sugar baby world wasn't for me, if I would have known, if people were honest about that, if people had told the reality of what sugar babying is, I think I wouldn't have chosen to do it. If I had the real facts of what that looks like. I think so many people, especially at that time when being a sugar baby was really popular in like the 2014, 15 era, I think if I would have known, if people weren't so nonchalant about it and they were realistic that guys are very forceful in person and that they will try to make you have sex with them, and that a lot of sugar babies are doing that, and so they will kick you to the curb if you are not doing that. I think if I had that reality, maybe I would have chosen a different path for the type of sex work that I wanted to do, because that was not for me. And I'm not shaming that anybody that wants to do that, but I think that people weren't real about what it is that happens behind closed doors in that environment. And so that's what I want to cover. This video is so important to the industry because there is a dark reality to this world. I love what I do, but it's just not for everybody. I'm looking over here because I have my notes written out. So the first topic that she explains is what OnlyFans is. But I think that if you're here, you know what OnlyFans is. Brief description, it is a site where you can charge for your content. Most people make sexual style content on the platform. That can be porn, soft porn, nudes, lewds, and so on. And that is kind of where it jumps into the appeal of the platform. The appeal is definitely the money, and I want to be straight up and honest. My appeal was absolutely the money that comes with this industry, and also with the money, the freedom to then choose when I work and choose what I do with my time and so on. I definitely had signs at an early age that I was gonna get into something like this because as a young girl, I watched the Playboy Mansion TV show called The Girls Next Door with all the Playboy bunnies, and I was so fascinated with the world. And like I said, I got into sugar babying early in college, and although that wasn't for me, I think I always was on this path to finding what part of the industry worked for me. I'm so thankful that I found OnlyFans because it is part of the industry that works for me, that I like and I enjoy. The main appeal for most people is definitely the money, which leads her video straight into the financial reality that comes with this industry. She brings up that the average OnlyFans creator doesn't make what most people talk about online. She says that it's hard to make big money on the platform and that it's not the norm. The influx of creators makes it harder to stay within your boundaries as a creator, insisting that you will have to keep making more and more hardcore content to stay relevant on the platform. She brought someone who apparently had been on OnlyFans before and had said this statement. And this is one person's perspective of the platform. Maybe they tried, they didn't make as much money as they expected, and then they stopped. Or for most people, that is the case. Maybe there are some girls that tried, and then they stopped. They made a couple $100 and they were like, oh, it's not thousands and thousands of dollars. And then they stopped. I think what's so wrong about this conversation is that she said, the influx of creators makes it harder to stick within your boundaries as a creator, and you're going to keep making harder core content to stay relevant. I find this to be so wrong because what's different about OnlyFans is that there is no discoverability. You have to market your OnlyFans page on social media because there is no discover page. So you are building your audience based on the audience that you grow on social media platforms. So every single person's audience is on OnlyFans is going to be completely unique and completely different to one another. So they have nothing to compare to. Yes, some of your subscribers might follow a couple other girls, but the reason that they are following you specifically is because they like you as a person, your style of content, your personality, whatever it is. They're choosing you over just Googling on a porn site the type of hardcore porn that they want. They know what they're getting when they subscribe to you. So I think that this is so not true. You build the standard on your platform and you can stick to whatever boundaries you have. I've never felt pressured to make content that I didn't want to do. I will say in the beginning, I was doing less pornographic style content, and now I am absolutely doing more, but it's not because I was forced into or pressured to make more of that type of content. I always knew that that would be my progression. I just had to get comfortable with it and go at my own pace. But no one on the platform has ever told me I have to do this or pressured me into feeling like I had to. They've asked me, hey, do you do this? And I say, no, I don't do that type of content. I'll do blank. Or what else are you into? Here's the options that I create. And that's been the extent of that type of conversation. I've never had anyone pressure me into doing something more than I wanted to do. That's why I always tell you here on YouTube to build up your audience on social media pages, to support your OnlyFans page, because you need to build that loyal audience that cares about you as a person and wants to see this style of content from you, whatever it is that you do. It's the same on any social media platform. You choose what you post, and your audience likes you because of what you post and because of who you are. Her video goes into then the people that already had a following before getting onto OnlyFans, and she compares us regular schmegular people with people like Bella Thorne and Bad Baby, who made $1 million in a day on their first day on OnlyFans. And yes, while you are probably not going to make $1 million a day on your first day on OnlyFans, this doesn't mean that you can't make good money still. It's like comparing a huge corporation to a small business and say you can't thrive because there are other big businesses. And that's not true. You can thrive as a small business and you can grow into a big business. It's all about how you choose to go about your business. I always say don't let one subscriber go unnoticed, because you never know who is willing to spend their money. You don't know who's a heavy tipper. Someone with 100 followers could be making the same amount of money as somebody with 1,000 followers. It just depends on how you go about your business. If you are giving them the attention and the content and you're making that connection with people, you can really bring in a lot of money. In her video, she says that the average OnlyFans creator makes about $140 to $180 a month. I think what they're missing in this study is that there are so many accounts where somebody has started their account and they put in like 1% effort and then they gave up. And so yeah, the majority of OnlyFans creators are probably just dead accounts that people aren't using. Or also there are a lot of creators, myself included, who has a second page that is a free page that makes, a few $100s a month, but it's just meant to promote my paid page. So when you put it that way, you're not really looking at this statistics in the right form. And I will say the majority of any business, you could say that about YouTube. You could say that about any small business. They aren't making that much money. Well, guess what? They're probably not putting in that much time or effort, or they're not trying. Or yeah, the majority of any small business or YouTube channel or social media page is probably not making that much money. It's the reality of any industry. Nothing is just gonna come easy. And I think that this study just shows that you can't just open an account to expect to make thousands of dollars every month. That's just not how it works. And so I feel like this study is almost irrelevant because it's not looking at the full picture. Another statistic that she brought up was that most creators only attract about 30 fans. And again, I just want to reiterate that that is probably one because they stop after that. Or they open their account, they gain 30 followers, and then they fall off. Or they're not willing to put in the effort because they think it was too hard to gain those 30 followers. Don't let those 30 followers go unnoticed, because you can really, find the big tippers out of even just a few followers. And then the last statement, she goes over and mentions the word saturated again, saying that the platform is saturated. And while the hype of OnlyFans really took off in 2020 because of the pandemic, it's the same with TikTok. That's when, a lot of online platforms were taking off. It doesn't mean that it's saturated because, as I mentioned before, there is no discoverability. You are the one that makes your platform known. And so really it's like there was only one person on the platform. It's just you. It's your own space. There's no one, you're not sharing it with anybody. It's not like Instagram where you post and then 100 other people post and so your picture gets lost in the sauce. That's not how it works. If a subscriber is subscribed to you, they're most likely only subscribe to you and maybe a couple of other people. So when you post, it's being seen. And so the conversation of saturation is, I think what they mean is the hype is falling because more and more people are doing this. So the idea of seeing someone's naked body has become more normalized. And so maybe people aren't as excited to jump on the platform. But I wouldn't say it's oversaturated. Let's talk about job prospects. Her next section. And for this, I can absolutely agree. If you choose this career, it may affect your future in working in certain industries. Going into this, I already knew and I accepted that reality that I don't want to work for anyone ever again, and I will do whatever it takes to make that a possibility. And that's why I always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I have many little different businesses that I'm working on and that make me money. Yeah, that's why I do that. But if I were to have to work with a company or for somebody else, I already know that I don't want to work for a company or anybody that is not open-minded or understanding of who I am. Like, I just don't want to work for a company like that or somebody that isn't open-minded. I've already kind of taken myself out of a few equations as well because I have hand tattoos. I'm fully covered in tattoos. I already can't work in like healthcare or I probably can't be a lawyer or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but those are things that I don't want to do. I think if I were to do anything else, it would still be something creative and something that accepts me as I am and for the things that I've done in my life. I think that, yes, it may affect your career in the future, but it really depends on who you are and what you want to do as a person. And I think if you even go into this, I think you kind of know that and you have accepted that, and you probably don't want to work with people that don't accept you anyway. The second part of the job prospect section, she brings up the longevity, and she tries to say that you have until you are 40 to be in this industry. And as I said in the beginning of this video, a lot of this is based on opinion. Her opinion is that at 40, you can do the MILF thing, and then you need to retire. Which I just completely disagree. I have students, because as you may know, I teach others how to do OnlyFans and how to have a successful career in this industry. I have students that are well over 40 doing perfectly great on the platform. And the reason is because there is a place for you in sex work at any age, with any body type, with any style, with any sexual preference. There is a place for you. And do you want to know why? Because there is a market for every type of person. Somebody is going to find you attractive at any age or whatever you look like or whoever you are. It doesn't matter about age. It doesn't matter. There is a niche for everybody. There's a place in sex work for all age group, body types, kinks, and more. You can go onto porn websites and see that there are different kinks and different age groups, and it's just an opinion. Maybe you don't find someone over 40 attractive, but there are people out there that do. So this opinion is just really off for me. Okay, let's get into piracy. She explains that you are covered under the copyright infringement laws and you can get your content removed from these third-party sites, but the likelihood of you knowing where all of your content is being distributed online is pretty low. And I will say that I agree with this. This is something that if you go into the industry, it is kind of a dark side. Your stuff can absolutely be recorded, screenshotted, and reposted or sent around. And you don't know whose hands it could get in. I like to look at this as free marketing. As a content creator online, putting your content across all platforms is very necessary to gain traction to your sites. So I try to look at it like that. I think that's the best way to kind of like keep a good mindset when it comes to this. Yes, it's very uncomfortable to see. I've seen it, you know, I've seen my content on sites that I didn't put it on. And it is uncomfortable at first, and it is uncomfortable to know that people can't get it for free. Anyone can look it up. It's very scary. You can get it taken down if you put in the work. You can also hire people to take down that type of content, and you can look at it as free marketing. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing that. But it is a dark reality. And if you aren't comfortable or confident in that, or you don't have a plan for that, it is something you should think about. I think it's something you have to mentally prepare for and get comfortable with the idea of if you are going to go into this industry. And like I mentioned, you never know whose hands can get on your content. Or I've had friends in the industry say that they've had their content sent to family members, and that's a possibility too. So you really do have to think about those things. People can definitely find out who you are if you're using an alias name, or if you're not using your face. That actually happened. That's one of my friends who is a no-face creator, said that her content was sent to a family member, and she doesn't know how they found out who she was, but they did. So that is the dark reality of this industry, and you have to be okay and confident to just be like, it is what it is. If it gets in the wrong hands, these negative things can happen. Now, I think the one that most of us know, harassment and stalking. Patience mentions that it is a reality you will have to deal with unpleasant fans, and that many have said sexual harassment is essentially a part of the job description. You will have to tolerate men objectifying you and talking to you as if you are nothing more than a sexual object that exists purely for sexual gratification, because OnlyFans is very transactional. Now, in my experience, I've had few people talk to me with disrespect on the platform. I actually have had more people talk to me disrespectfully on social media like YouTube and TikTok. On my OnlyFans, it is or feels like such a safe place, and that's because I've made it that way. If someone talks to me with disrespect, I say, you got one and done. You don't talk to me like this, or you're getting kicked off. And that's the end of it. And most of the time people are like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. You know, if they said something a little off-putting, hey, don't speak to me like that. I'm gonna have to block you if you're gonna speak to me like that. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've never, they're there paying to be there. And for the most part, I found very respectful people on my OnlyFans. They're paying for this. They want to enjoy the experience, I have not experienced any sexual harassment on my OnlyFans. It is not part of my job description. I am to be treated with respect on my OnlyFans, or they can go. And I can easily block them, and they can make a new account and I can block them. And there's nothing else to it. Yes, it is transactional. But most people know, there are the occasional crazies. We are talking about stalking. It is a reality. There are the occasional crazies. But I would say that can happen in any industry like this. If you talk about, putting yourself anywhere on the internet or in the public eye, that is a possibility. I don't think that is strictly an OnlyFans problem. You set your expectations on your OnlyFans pages, on your social media pages, and that is what you will get out of this world. This is a reality though. There are people that can try and harass you. And I think you do have to have a thick skin, and you have to be able to say, that's not how I'm to be treated. And if you can't say that, then this isn't for you. But you can set the rules and the expectations from your followers. And I think also something that is completely missing from this is that I've talked about it on the podcast, but these people most people on OnlyFans are looking for someone to talk to. They're lonely. They get their needs met on this platform because they can't get it somewhere else. A lot of these people don't know how to interact with women, and they're a lot more timid than you'd think. A lot of them are very shy, and they don't want to express their kinks to people, so they keep to themselves, or they're a little bit weird, not the typical cool kid is on OnlyFans. Yeah, sometimes they get a little obsessive, or they don't know how to speak to you. But a lot of them are very, very kind and sweet. And I think that's what's missing from this video, is that the reality is it's honestly a lot sadder than you'd think. These people are lonely. It is a reality too that there are some cuckoos out there, and you have to protect yourself. Now, she does bring up the extreme cases of murder, and like I mentioned a second ago, I don't think this is strictly an OnlyFans problem. I think it is a public eye problem, whether you're a YouTuber, an influencer, a famous celebrity, a singer, an actress. OnlyFans, of course, is included in that because you're in the public eye. I don't know the statistics of how often this happens, but be careful, be safe, and set your expectations. And also, it is popular to do the girlfriend experience. Just make sure you set the boundaries and make sure everyone knows that this is a transaction and that it's not reality. I think that, you can have a little bit of fantasy, but make sure you're reeling it in when it starts to feel a little bit unsafe or out of control. Pressures. Patience talks about creative control and how mainstream porn, the directors are in control. But on OnlyFans, she says that you'd think it would be the creators, but it's actually the fans because of their requests and that they are pressuring you to do more. So I've been on the platform since 2020 and I have never been pressured to do more. I've said this in the beginning of the video. I've never been pressured to do more than what I want to do. I've been asked to do more, and I just say no. I can't speak for all creators. I don't know if some people feel the pressure because they want more money or because of whatever, but if you are in this industry, you need to be strong enough to say no and say it in a way that can inspire more money in a different way. I always say, if someone asks me something that I can't do, I don't want to do, I say, oh, I don't actually make that type of content, but I make this or this or this. What else are you interested in? What else can I get for you? What else can we do? And if they say, oh, but I really want this, I say, yeah, well, I don't do that. So here's what I do. Let me know. That's it. You have to be strong enough to say no and stick to your boundaries. And that's not to say that your boundaries might not change. Like I said, my boundaries had changed. I was only doing bikini photos in the beginning, but I knew I wanted to do more. I just wanted to get comfortable. And now I have like my solid boundaries and I haven't changed them in over a year. It's all on your own discretion and you just have to know how to say no. Let's get into relationships and family. Patience says, having an OnlyFans will have an effect on your dating life. And I agree. At one point, I actually made a video called Dating and OnlyFans. Or OnlyFans and dating, one or the other. And at the time, I was having a hard time with dating because I had dated a few people, and the 3 people that I had dated all said that they didn't want to date me because of OnlyFans, which is weird because all 3 of them, I had to break it off. Anyway, at the time, I was having a really hard time with that. I never felt like I did anything wrong. I like what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I wasn't going to change that for other people. But I was frustrated with my dating life until I realized how much it actually enhanced my dating life. The same way I wouldn't date someone who has very strong opposing opinions in politics, I wouldn't want to date someone that has very strong opposing opinions on what I do for work. I don't. That's not the type of people I want to be with. At the time that I made that video talking about dating and OnlyFans, I'd only dated very jealous people. Every time it didn't work because I'm a flirty person. I am expressive with my sexuality, and those people were so insecure about that. It's nothing to say about them. At the end of the day, we weren't a good match. What helped me with this is that it narrowed down my search. It narrowed it down to people that were a better match for me, that were more open-minded about this industry. And that's the type of people I want around. And now I'm married. Working in this industry helped me weed out the people that were not right for me. And it made it a lot clearer to see the right type of people. So while yes, it can absolutely make dating harder at first, in the end, it's going to help you a lot. She said, if a man is desirable, he is most likely not going to pick a woman who has an OnlyFans. which I thought was very generalizing. While this may be statistics coming from her poll, it is not statistics worldwide. And it's also very generalizing to what a desirable person is. I'm married and I absolutely desire my partner. And I think that they're very desirable to other people as well. And yet they still choose me, an OnlyFans creator. Do I think that that is an opinion? Yes. She also reads one of the responses from her poll that says that if they found that their partner was promiscuous, they wouldn't want to be with them. And I thought that was interesting because OnlyFans doesn't equal promiscuity. I actually looked up the definition of promiscuous, and it was to have had multiple sexual relationships. My content is solo content. So OnlyFans does not equal multiple sexual partners, and I just wanted to clarify that. So the last few things that she mentioned about the poll was children and reputation, that people didn't want a partner who did OnlyFans because they were worried about their reputation, which, like I said, I don't want somebody that is worried about reputation. That's not the type of people I enjoy being around or want as a partner. And then children. There are so many people who have OnlyFans that have children, and while that may be a problem for some, it's not a problem for everyone. And also there are people who don't want to have children. So the last section in this video is trauma. The trauma that she mentions is the effect that it might have on your body image. She mentions that it gives the audience the right to critique every inch of your body. And while they may be doing that, I think if someone is paying for your comment, the critique is going to be most of the time positive. If they are paying to be there, they want to see your body. They like your body. They're happy with how you look. I don't think I've ever had anyone say anything negative on my OnlyFans about my body. I don't think that's ever happened in the last 3, almost 4 years that I've been on the platform. I've only had people say, you look beautiful, you look gorgeous, I love your butt, I love your boobs, whatever it is. If someone doesn't like your body, they might or may not say it, but they're paying to be there. So it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it also does not give them the right to critique every inch of my body. If someone is choosing to critique every inch of my body and tell me how they feel, they can be dismissed. The last part of the trauma she mentions is interacting with the worst type of men will cause you to have a warped view of men. I find that my maybe skewed perspective, I agree with this, of men has actually helped me make more informed decisions on what type of friends I make in this life. It's definitely helped me read men a lot easier. So like I mentioned earlier, most men on this platform are lonelier or are not as easily able to speak with women. That's not everybody on the platform, but that is, I would say for the most part, the clientele. But it has helped me read men a lot easier and helped me make better decisions on who I want to spend my time with and around. I'm married to a woman, so it's not like I'm spending my time with men in any other way than a friendship. And I also think that while it is maybe a little bit skewed, that it's only helped me in this life in navigating who I want to spend my time around. Going back to the body image thing, I think that that is a fair, dark truth. I think that seeing your body and seeing other people's bodies so often can definitely cause you to want to change things. And I've talked about this on my podcast many times, but I don't think I've adapted to any beauty standards. If anything, I've actually allowed myself to be more natural a lot of the times because the OnlyFans clientele is interested in more raw and real content than, you know, the staged performative pornography that is on typical porn sites. Although sometimes I do have, oh, I wish I was a little bit skinnier, this and that, which you can get in any industry again. In this world, it's just like that. But although I have those days, I feel like I'm a lot more natural more often when I'm making OnlyFans content. I don't always wear makeup. I don't always straighten my hair. Sometimes it's natural and curly. I don't edit my pictures anymore. I sometimes smooth out my skin, but I don't morph my body in any way. And I don't have any desire to get any plastic surgery. While I don't think that any of that is negative to do, I think you can do whatever you want with your body, and that OnlyFans doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna go ahead and change everything about your body, because I think even as an influencer or a model or an actress, those are possibilities in that industry as well. So I don't think that's specific to OnlyFans. And while I think that all these are valid points to bring up, because I think that every person who is thinking about starting an OnlyFans or has an OnlyFans, I think every single person should be thinking about these dark truths and dark realities of the industry. I don't think that it is always a bad thing to discuss the possibilities and the negativities of any industry. I really appreciate Patient's video because it got me thinking. It got my mind moving. And I like that I was able to think about all these different points and how they've affected my life or how they haven't, and how they may or may not affect your life if you choose to go into this industry. So that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of the points that we spoke about. And if you are looking to start an OnlyFans or get into the industry, please be sure to check out all of my other videos about OnlyFans, and you can check out my mentorship down below. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.